Hi there, my name is Michaela McDonald and I am a coach at Food Peace Body Love. And in today's video, I wanted to go over a really cool process that you can use anytime you're working on changing your internal narrative around something. So, for example, this could be that you have a really strong inner critic. That's the main source for this, right? You have a strong inner critic. You'd like to be cheering yourself on more internally and telling yourself positive things. So this is a great technique to do that. You can use it for other things too. And you can do it specifically for the critical voice you feel around work, the critical voice you feel around your body, the critical voice you feel around your relationships, anything. So I recommend trying this multiple times. And I also recommend making it kind of bite-sized for yourself. It's easy to overwhelm oneself with this because our internal mind is pretty talkative. So as you'll see as we go through the process, there's ways to just make it a nice bite size versus a whole elephant of a deal. So to begin, I want you to decide what is the inner narrative that is going on that you don't like. Maybe it has a topic. For the purposes of this little tutorial, I'm going to say the mean to my body narrative. Okay? So you could put that at the top of your page. By the way, it's good to have a piece of paper for this. You could type it out too, but I like paper. And so put at the top of your page your title, right? This inner narrative has its own title. Then I want you to take a moment and think about that inner narrative and some of the things that it says. And you can just write out 10. This is where you can pace yourself. You could do 100, I'm sure, but just do 5 to 10 statements that this inner narrative makes. So you can pause the video to do that. Okay, so now that you've got your list of 5 to 10 things that this negative or mean inner narrative or unhelpful inner narrative says, I want you to look at that list and read it. You can even read it out loud. And as you're reading it, I want you to feel what goes on internally for you. What sensations go on in your body when you look at this list? And maybe you notice the feeling in a certain part of your body. Maybe there's like an emotion that goes along with this. But just notice it. You don't need to change it or fix it, just notice. And once you've noticed all of that, we'll do a little bit of tapping here. So if you don't know how to tap already, there's a link for how to tap in the description box below this video, but we'll just dive in. So repeat after me. Even though this list really bothers me, I choose to love and accept myself. Even though I feel, however you feel, when I read this list, I choose to love and accept myself. And even though these are all things that I say to myself in my own head, I choose to love and accept myself. And then you can tap through the other points. This list, all the phrases on this list. I can't believe I say these things to myself. I can be really harsh. I don't want to keep doing this. Whatever this list is connected to, whatever or whoever it reminds me of, it's safe for me to feel it, and it's safe for me to let it go. Good. You can stop tapping. Take a breath. And I want you to look at the list again and notice how it feels now. It may feel worse. It may feel better. Just kind of notice how much it bothers you now. And oftentimes this part needs a few rounds. And for this one, I'm going to tap and say some things out loud, but you can just read the items on your list. That can be really valuable. So don't worry about the karate chop point. We'll just start tapping through the points. And I'm going to do my example but you can just ignore me and read your list. This has changed a lot, but it still bothers me. Sometimes I find myself telling myself that no one will ever love me, that my body isn't good looking, that my thighs are too fat, that it's hopeless, that I look like this because I'm lazy, that I'm a failure. I tell myself so many things that are hurtful. And sometimes I believe it. Sometimes I believe this inner narrative. And I choose to love myself anyway. What if I didn't believe this inner narrative as much? What if I could feel differently about this? What if I don't have to tell myself these things anymore? Good. You can stop tapping. Take a breath. And this time, I want you to look at the list and notice how you feel. It may feel really different. The goal here is for it to feel neutral, or for the statements that you're reading to feel, I mean, maybe they're like angry questions, but for whatever it is that's on your list that you're reading, for it to just feel like neutral, or you don't really believe it, that it's like, oh, that doesn't feel true. So if you need to tap on this more, you can pause the video here and just take some time to tap, reading through the statements, and just gently nudging yourself with the idea that maybe you don't have to believe this anymore. Maybe you don't have to tell yourself these things anymore. So now that you've done that, we get to move on to part 2. So now that you have this list of all these things that you tell yourself, I want you to get another piece of paper, or if you want to, you can, so this is why I like paper, because the column thing on the digital format isn't quite as easy. But if you're techie, I believe in you, you could do it. So get your other piece of paper. I'll use that example. And line by line on this new piece of paper, I want you to write a new statement. Now, for some of these statements, as you're creating the opposite, right, the positive version of the critical statement or narrative, some of them, it's easy to do the opposite, right? I hate my body. I love my body. But some of them you need to get a little bit more creative. And I just want to invite you to think of any positive statement that feels good. So using the example of, loving your body, hating your body, all of that. Some phrases that I really love are, I love experiencing life through this body. I'm so grateful for all my body does for me. I really like laughing, and I need my body to do that. I'm so glad that I can experience beautiful smells and warm breeze. So those are some kind of things that you might not have thought of that I wanted to throw in there. So you can pause here, spend some time with that list, and make sure that it feels really good to you. And if it doesn't, we can attend to that. Okay, so now that you have your list of the new, fabulous, shiny, magical statements and inner narrative that you choose to have around this topic, I'm using the example of loving your body. Now that you have that list, I want you to read through the list and see how you feel. And notice, some people, when they create this positive list, it snags a little, right? There's still some resistance. And that's totally fine. We can work with that. Now, for some people, it feels great. They read this new list and they're like, yes, I love this list. This feels so good. And so for the people who feel that way, this next little round of tapping isn't really for you. So you can just listen along or just dance around the room because, you're a step ahead of the game. Whatever feels good to you. But we will get to deepening the connection with this inner narrative after this round to just clear out any resistance. So for those of you feeling some resistance, some snag, some discomfort when you read this new list of your desired inner narrative, I want you to take a moment to really feel that. Notice what it's like in your body to feel some resistance to this list, all those positive statements. Maybe the resistance is that it doesn't feel true. Maybe it's that you don't feel like you deserve to think those things about yourself. Maybe it's something else entirely. Just notice what it is for you. And we'll tap on the karate chop point. Repeat after me. Even though this new list makes me uncomfortable, I choose to love and accept myself. And even though I don't really believe this new narrative, I choose to love and honor myself. And even though I feel uncomfortable about this list, I choose to love and accept myself. Good. So you can start tapping through the other points. This list. Am I allowed to really say all these things to myself? I don't know if they're true. Some of them definitely aren't true. I like the idea of them feeling true one day, but I don't really feel it yet. It's weird to be this nice to myself. Is it really okay? Am I worthy? Am I deserving? What if something bad happens because I'm telling myself nice things? What if I get lazy? What if I need the criticism to pull me forward, to push me forward? I'm open to enjoying this list. What if things are changing already? What if being kind to myself in this way propels me forward? What if it helps me feel inspired? I like that. I'm open to that. Whatever resistance I have left, whether it's mine or belongs to somebody else, it's safe for me to let it go now. I'm doing such a good job. Okay, you can stop tapping. Take a breath. And excuse me, I want you to read the list again. See how you feel. See how it feels. We're looking for it to either feel neutral or even like a little sparkly and good. Or like peaceful. A pleasant feeling. And if it's still snagging at all, you can do that last round again or pause here and do some of your own tapping. Now, once it's feeling neutral or a little bit good, we can do so many things here, but I'm pinpointing it. I'm pinpointing it to one thing to do. One thing to do now, and then I'll give you something that you can do ongoing that can help to deepen this process. Because an inner narrative takes time. Think about all the times that you've practiced that old narrative. So the new narrative needs some time to be practiced. And we can give you a leg up by doing what we're about to do now. So take a moment here. We're going to go on a little trip. And I want you to close your eyes and take a breath. And with your eyes closed, I want you to, I'm closing my eyes too, so don't worry, I'm not watching you. I want you to think about a time where you felt really good. Maybe it's a time alone in nature. Maybe it's a time with friends, with loved ones. Maybe it's a time with a favorite pet. But just think about a memory or some being in your life that evokes this deep sense of goodness, just feeling so good, feeling so good in yourself, in your heart. And take your time with it. And once you've connected with this good feeling place, start to really memorize what this feels like. Notice the details of it. And if you're struggling at all to find a really happy memory, you can always go to a good feeling place that's made up. That's so valuable. It can be an ideal place in nature. And once you're there, like I said before, start to memorize how this feels. Notice the way you're breathing, the way you're moving, the sounds that you hear. If there's a smell, notice that. If there's a distinct temperature, notice that. And bring your attention into your heart and notice what's going on in your heart as you are connected with this place. There may be a color, there may be a movement, a brightness, lightness. Just notice. And take a few breaths here to let this feeling soak in. Good. And now I want you to imagine gathering this feeling up into a ball of light, the essence of this feeling. Notice that the ball of light you're gathering this essence into has a color, a brightness, maybe even a temperature. Just notice what this ball of light is like. And as you inhale, gather up any last pieces that you want to have in that ball of light. And as you exhale, send that ball of light to that list sitting on your table that has all those yummy new narratives on it. And I want you to imagine that ball of light floating, floating, floating. And then it, almost like a bubble, it lands on the list and it merges with the list. It pops and it just releases all that joy, all that good feeling onto this list. And maybe the list starts to glow a little. And I want you to imagine that list in your mind here. You may not remember all the phrases on it, but just imagine this feeling going along with that list. All those words that you choose to think and say to yourself are now imbued with this deeply congruent good feeling. Good. And you can open your eyes, bring your attention back to the room, and I want you to look at that list again and notice how it feels now. I already feel really good. That was fun. And so, now that we've done what I call borrowing feelings, which I learned from Robert Smith of Faster EFT, Robert G. Smith. Now that we've done that, the best way that I'd like to encourage you to engage with this new narrative on a daily basis is to read through it once a day and tap through the points. Ideally, you're reading it other times of the day. Maybe you're even writing it out in the margins of your notes, or you're writing one of the phrases out at the top of your calendar each day. Or maybe you set reminders on your phone that just say one of these phrases. So exposing yourself to these words as often as possible is ideal. Now, there's another key thing that you can do here. Now that you're really in this yummy feeling space, you can look at that list and see if any of the phrases need to be amplified and how enthusiastic or loving they are, or if there's any new phrases that are coming to your mind. So let's just do a little tapping here just to seal this in. And tapping is so cool because when you tap and you focus on the negative, it's just relaxing your nervous system and helping you know that you're okay. So it just helps any discomfort to move on through. And when you're tapping to bring in the positive, to affirm the positive, it emphasizes it because feeling so relaxed while you're doing all of that, let your body know it's safe to think these things. It's safe to let these in, right? Your body knows what is good for it. And this tapping just helps us to deepen that because you're in a relaxed, receptive state. So tapping through the points, don't worry about the karate chop point. I love my new list, and I choose to read it every day. When I read this list, I choose to connect with that really good feeling. When I read this list, I choose to breathe deeply. I'm so open to all these words becoming familiar. I'm open to these thoughts becoming my new narrative. What if it could be that easy? What if it's already happening? I'm so open to feeling good about myself. And it's a gift to me and to everyone else when I do that. Lovely. You can stop tapping, take a breath. Well done. This was juicy. Thanks for staying with me through this process. You can do this again for other topics. If you have any questions, please email me. You can find all of that contact info on my website, MichaelaMcDonald.com. It's linked below. And as always, if you ever want one-on-one attention, if you want to talk about this more, if you want that support, I am here. And I am ready. So reach out. Once again, all that info is on my website. The first step is to do a little intro call. Super chill, super easy, super fun. No pressure. You'll go away from it with some clarity and resources to move forward, whether it's with me or otherwise. And I really wish you well. Thank you so much. When you tend to yourself in this way, it really is a gift to everyone. So thank you for showing up. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate you. Until next time.